Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started with the Expo today. This session will be recorded, so Ellen, why don't you go ahead and start the recording? Okay, welcome to the St. Louis County Library History and Genealogy Virtual Expo. This is session 1. It is Saturday, November 7th, and the time is 10 a.m. My name is Scott Hall, and I am manager of the History and Genealogy Department. Let me start my video. There we go. Ellen Mays will be the Expo Master of Ceremonies. She is a reference librarian here in the History and Genealogy Department, and she is also a public librarian. All sessions of the Expo will be recorded. The recordings will be available on the St. Louis County Library website and on the library's YouTube channel. A reminder that your Zoom login information is valid for both the morning and afternoon sessions today, and both sessions on December 5th. This morning, we will feature presentations by representatives from 4 organizations. I have posted a link to the Expo schedule and information about participating organizations in the chat. Before we introduce the first speaker, I would like you to encourage you to check out the History and Genealogy Department on the St. Louis County Library website, and I've put a link in the chat there as well. So I'm going to spend just a few moments highlighting some information you'll find there, and then we will start the first presentation at about 10:10. Okay, so this is the address for the History and Genealogy Department, www.slcl.org/genealogy. So when you log on, you will get a page that looks like this. And you will notice down here that there's a notification. So let's blow that up a little bit. So the library is closed because of the current pandemic. But we are trying to help researchers as much as possible in the History and Genealogy Department. So we have put together some information on our website on how we might do that. So if you click on that link, you will get this page, and this will give you an overview of what we can offer you under the current situation. We can do lookups, we can help you by telephone, and there are also some online things that you will find on our website, and those are all listed on that page. Okay, so let's go back to that page, and if you were to blow it up or reduce it down so you could see the entire page, it would look like this. So I want to call your attention to the blue box over here. That is a list of links, and it looks like this up close. So I just want to point out a couple of things there. One is we have created video tutorials. These are brief tutorials, like around 10 minutes each, to give you tips on specific ways to use a resource or find particular information. So you might want to check those out. Also, we have our virtual classroom. We do offer classes by Zoom, but when we do give a Zoom class, we record them and then we put them up on this page. So these are full-length classes. They're usually about 2 hours long, and they cover a variety of topics from beginning genealogical research to various kind of more specific topics. And those are absolutely free. They're available on our website, and they're also on the library's YouTube channel. So let's go back to this page, and I just want to draw your attention down here to this box that says PastPorts. So PastPorts is our email newsletter. It's a monthly newsletter. It's absolutely free. You can sign up. If you sign up, you get an email when a new issue appears with a link to that issue. So there is a link down there that says read more. And if you click that link, you will find a page that looks like this. So this is where you will find all of the issues posted. All of the issues, the current issue as well as the past issues, are available on our website. And all you have to do is click the link and you can download it as a PDF. Up here is a drop-down menu. You can select the year. PastPorts has been published since 2008. And then, of course, there's the individual links. When you click the link, it will open up a PDF. So in PastPorts, we try to have a feature article that we call For the Records. It focuses on either a topic that can be researched in our collection or a resource that can be used in the collection and how you might use that resource. And then we have other information, of course, news about coming from the department, tips for finding online resources, that kind of thing. So we try to create a newsletter that has good content, and we hope that you will check it out and take advantage of that. At the bottom of that page, you will find this box. It says Get Email Updates. Just put your email address in there and click subscribe. You'll be taken to another page that will display all of the newsletters available from the library. So you just need to select the ones that you want to subscribe to. And there is our contact information. I did place our contact information in the chat as well. So we are just going to, oops, let me get back to there. So we're just waiting for a few minutes, and at 10:10, we will start our program.
Just to let everyone know, if you have questions, you can use the Q&A chat function on the bottom of your screen, and we will ask those questions after each session. So let us know if there's anything specifically that you want to know about, and we will try to get to each of your questions. Okay, our first speaker is from the St. Louis Genealogical Society. Kay Weber, the president, will give you a brief overview of the organization and answer some of your questions at the end. Kay, take it away.
Okay, you need to unmute yourself.
How's that? Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. Have you ever thought about doing research in your family's history? Have you had your DNA tested and now you want to know what to do about all those percentages? Or have you been doing genealogy for a number of years and you've hit those proverbial brick walls? Well, the St. Louis Genealogical Society can help you with that. We are the largest local genealogical society in the United States with about 1,800 members. We have members from all of the states and from at least 6 foreign countries. We are a not-for-profit, all-volunteer organization, and we have been in existence since 1968. Our mission is to promote family history research by providing educational and research opportunities, offering community services in related fields, and collecting, preserving, and publishing genealogical records. I have a set of notes to follow because I have a lot of stuff to tell you about today. We have an office in Maplewood that is just south of Manchester off of Big Ben, but of course it's closed due to the COVID-19. However, we do have some volunteers who are coming in the office on the Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings that we usually have business hours. So if you have any questions, you can always call us or email. And that information, I believe, is that in the chat section? I think they put that in the chat section. At our office, our volunteers process records so they can be published on our website and shared with those who are doing family research. Our current projects include congregations, cemeteries, and funeral homes in the St. Louis area. We deal a lot with people that are no longer with us. At the office, we have a reference room in which you can browse our collection of books and other reference materials and obtain help with your research. Our main collection of over 30,000 volumes is housed on Tier 5 in the St. Louis County Headquarters Library. What do we do to help you begin or continue your research for your family? Well, we have meetings. On the second Saturday of each month, except in December, we have meetings about various subjects of interest to genealogists and historians. The schedules for all of our meetings and classes are on our website, www.stlgs.org. You're going to hear that a lot. At this time, all of our meetings are virtual, but when we are able to meet again in person, our meetings are held at the auditorium at headquarters of the St. Louis County Library. Our meetings are free. You don't have to be a member of the society to listen to the meetings. You don't have to be a member of the society to come to the meetings when we can start doing that again. We also have special interest groups for German, Irish, and Jewish research. They meet 4 times a year. Once again, you don't have to be a member of the society to join in these meetings. As a matter of fact, if you go to our website and you start clicking on the buttons about special interest groups or the monthly meetings, you'll actually be able to see and hear the ones that we've already recorded. We also have an Ask Louie program. If you have a genealogical question, we will help you find the answer. You just need to send an email to asklouie@stlgs.org. And we have a group of volunteers who will work on finding the answer to you, for you to find the answer. In other words, they won't do the research for you, but they will give you some hints on where to find that information that you are seeking. Because everybody likes to find their own information, especially if they've been searching for it for a long time. We also have classes on various areas of genealogy and local history. If you are a member, our classes are free. If you're not a member, then there is a charge. Recently, we've had classes on German research, Irish research, genealogy software, which is always very popular, and other technology for genealogy. I like to say that, technology for genealogy, it rhymes. We also have a First Families program where you can honor your St. Louis area ancestors. There are 3 categories, and they basically cover the years of the immigrant coming from 1765 to 1865. Right now we have an ongoing project. It's called our St. Louis County Biographies Project. And you can write a biography of your ancestor. The only criteria is they have to be dead. And the other is that they have to have lived in St. Louis at some time during their life. So they could have been born here, left St. Louis, never came back. They might have been born somewhere else, came to St. Louis, lived a while, and then left. Or came to St. Louis at some time during their life and died here. You can write a 500-word biography. That's not hard to do if you've got information on the person already. Add a couple of pictures, send it in, and we will post it on our website. And it'll stay on our website. We're also doing this project as our part of the bicentennial celebration for the state of Missouri, which will be next year. I wrote a biography about my great-grandfather on my mother's side. He was born in Ireland, came here into Missouri at age 9, eventually came to St. Louis, married an Irish girl. They had 11 children, and he was a fireman in St. Louis. And I have a couple of photos of him. Every name that I put into that biography will be listed on our website. So if someone's looking for one of those people, they're going to come and they're going to end up finding me, and I'm going to be able to find them. So that would be good. We've recently published 2 new books. One is about the War of 1812 and it's about Missouri's involvement in it. Now, Missouri wasn't the state in 1812. So this is information and names and even maps. It's very interesting. This is a 2-volume set. We have another publication that that is very, very popular. And this is researching orphans and orphanage care in St. Louis. This is kind of the Bible for the St. Louis area. If there was a record and it still exists, that book will tell you. It doesn't name names of orphans or anything like that, but it tells you where to find the records, if indeed the records can be found. And some of them, unfortunately, cannot be found. These are all available by going to our website at stlgs.org and clicking on the button about our store. One of our current projects now that we're very excited about is helping families find the graves for their family members in Washington Park Cemetery. This is a very large cemetery up in the north in St. Louis County. And some people have trouble finding the graves of their loved ones. So we have a small committee that is formed that is very enthused about helping you find the graves of your ancestors in this cemetery. And they're also helping the staff and the volunteers from the cemetery to help you. We also maintain a fabulous website. We have millions of names of people that you're trying to find, I'm sure, on our website, which is www.stlgs.org. And I believe that information is in the chat section. There's a lot of information on our website that is free. You don't have to be a member. As I mentioned before, you can find our meetings. You won't find our classes for you to listen to because you have to be a member to do that. There are certain things behind what they call the paywall. And that's only right. If you're paying a membership, you should have some special privileges. We have, but for some of the free things, we have hundreds of pages of St. Louis history, and you can even download genealogical forms to fill out. We have an index of members of the closed Catholic parishes and images of many Jewish records, which are free. There are several membership levels for our society. Most people join as an individual or a family member. The cost is $40 or $45 a year, depending on which one you take. For that, you can attend our classes free. Now, normally our classes are 2 hours and they're $30 each. If you join as a member, you can take as many classes as you want and you never pay for them. Some people take a class several times to get all the information. It would all be free. You also receive a quarterly publication and have access to our members only section of our website. And on our website, we are digitizing a lot of records. So sometimes you can find that baptismal record or maybe that birth record or some kind of a church record right there in front of you. You don't have to leave your comfy home to go find it, but that would be a members only privilege. And we're into social media. We have a Facebook group and we have a Facebook page. Now the Facebook page tells you all about the events that are going to be happening. The Facebook group is a very, very lively group. I was just looking at it this morning and one person posted it and within 5 minutes there were 2 answers. We have about 3,200 members on our Facebook group. And people are always offering research ideas, asking questions about their research, and offering tips that they have found to other people. So it's really very, very interesting. We have a Twitter account with about 1,800 members. I tweet. I've done it a couple of times. My grandchildren are very proud of me sometimes. We also have a blog, the St. Louis, or it's the STLGS Flash, which has about 1,000 followers. For more information on our social media and how to join them, go to our website, www.stlgs.org, and you can find out how to join there. As I said before, we are an all-volunteer organization, and we invite you to join our organization and help with our projects. You can help at the office during business hours when we reopen, or you can work from home doing data entry, proofreading, and various other type of computer things. You don't have to be very skilled at the computer. You kind of learn as you go, and we understand that sometimes it takes longer to learn things than it used to. We're always looking for people who know genealogy, have a vivid interest in genealogy, and for those that are just beginning and want to do this fascinating pastime the best way. If you come in to volunteer, you're around all these people who do genealogy, which means their eyes don't glaze over when you start talking about your family tree. This is an asset in itself. So we invite you to come to our website, and I've said it enough times that I believe you all know what it is now. Check it out. Start clicking on all those buttons. You can spend hours and hours just going through all the information we have on the website. You can find out what the St. Louis Genealogical Society can do for you. I hope you'll come visit our website, and I hope you come join our organization. Okay, Ellen, that's all I have.
Great, thank you, Kay. Does anyone have any questions for her about the St. Louis Genealogical Society? If you have any questions later on that you think of, you're welcome to email them, and they would be happy to help you out with that. I know they have lots of great volunteers and a lot of great programs that are really fun to attend and learn new skills. So our next presenter, if there aren't any questions at the moment, is Sumner Hunwell from the Society of Mayflower Descendants in the state of Missouri.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here. And I probably apologize for being late. I'm always someplace, but eventually I will get there. So I'm here to talk about the descendants of Mayflower passengers. This organization was started in the late 1800s. It is probably one of the harder ones to join. And the reason behind that really has nothing to do with the fact of doing genealogical research back to that time. There are a lot of resources that will help you get back there, especially from New England. But the Mayflower Society is different in that all 5 data points per generation are required, or at least need to be exhausted. So let me try to give you an example. So for your, say for a set of your great-grandparents, you'll be expected to provide some marriage record, some contemporary marriage record, a contemporary death record, and a contemporary marriage record. And when I say contemporary, I mean, you can't take a, say, a death certificate and say, well, on the death certificate, it says that they were born on this date and they were born at this place. The expectation is that you are going to go to that place, either online or calling people up or sending in for, requesting information from states and counties and getting that information. So I'm working through something right now where I have an ancestor that was, her son said she was born in Leamington, Maine. Well, the Leamington, Maine records have no record of that there. So what I had to do is I had to write to the town clerk and say, do you have a copy of something? Maybe they have something. Maybe they have a book on hand or something else that might have this information. If they don't, then you have to get a letter back from them on the stationery of the town to say, sorry, cannot find anything here in Leamington, Maine on this particular person. So imagine you're going back, say, in many cases, 13, 14, 15 generations. That's a lot of data points to find. And as we all know, there are town records that have been destroyed, town records that just were never kept. I mean, so, you know, Agatha dies. Why do I need to write that down in a town record? So the fact that you've got to go back, it seems a bit daunting. The Mayflower Society, however, has published, sorry, I just need a little more tea here. The Mayflower Society has published what are called the Silver Books. And the Silver Books are books that go back and fully document the first 5 generations. So if you think you're a descendant of John Alden, then you will have a book out there that will go through 5 generations. And then it will touch on the 6th generation, will say the 5th generation had these children that we know of. Now they're working on the 6th, 7th, and 8th generations, which makes it even better. But as you can imagine, they get a lot thicker and it gets a lot busier. So there are, at least for those early generations, once you can make it to a silver book, you know, finding your ancestor there, that really helps you identify your line in order to get back to Brewster or Billington or what have you. So it's, I mean, so the organization is very different that way. There are some good news though. You can piggyback on other approved applications. So the Mayflower Society has always been pretty rigorous when it comes to their genealogy and also pretty rigorous with their record keeping. So maybe somebody has, maybe you've got a 5th or 6th cousin that's already done generations 8 through 14. Well, they'll take that. You don't need to even find it. They will, the state historians, essentially the genealogists for the states, have access to that information. So, so you may not have to do as much work as you thought you would have to do. The nice thing is that even though you may not have children or your children may not have children, people may be able to use what you've done in the future. So to join the Mayflower Society is a little more complicated than many of the other societies where you would have to say, find the bloodline. The Mayflower Society also owns property in Plymouth. So if you ever get there, I haven't been there yet. All of our plans this year are pretty much squashed. They have a property with some artifacts from that people brought over on the ship. So that's a fascinating thing. They also have a library there, museum. The Mayflower Society puts out a quarterly. Guess what? It's called the Mayflower Quarterly. And it's a nice glossy magazine that explains everything that's going on. but it's only available for members of the Mayflower Society. I'm sure that the public libraries have copies of these things. I'm trying to think of anything else that could be terribly handy for the would-be person. One of the ways to start this, if it's been in your family history, or you think that you found that path, then you would write to our historian. So you would go out to momayflower.org and you would pull down the preliminary application sheet. And that preliminary application sheet pretty much gets you to that Mayflower ancestor. The historian takes that information and then they'll look, as I said before, in the database, and they will come back to you and say, well, it's sort of nice because generation 7 through 14 has been proved. So your job is to prove generation 1 through 6, and then show that linkage between 6 and 7. And the historian will work with you as well. They're not going to do the research for you, but they will turn around and they will do let you know what's available and what you need. So in my case, like I said, they sent it back to me and they said, well, you've got some weak links here. Go out and try to find better information than what you have. I dealt with one yesterday where they said, well, this genealogy for the Irish family doesn't have your ancestor in it, so that's a problem. So I would go back to the town records and show indeed that the person who did the Irish genealogy got things wrong. So there are a lot of things out there. FamilySearch.org is great if you want to look at early town records. Not everything is online. Of course, Ancestry, other places like this. And as well with Ancestry, you can't just take everything that you see out there and just assume that it is correct and that, oh, I finally found it. We've had situations where I've run into where I had a Jerusha Stetson, and how many Jerusha Stetsons can there possibly be? Well, there were 2, and I chose the wrong one. So the important thing is that once you've filled out your preliminary documentation, you have to be patient. Right now, we have a backlog of scores of applications. And you also need to be tenacious. You shouldn't be disappointed when they come back. Most people think, well, I found this, I can go all the way back to the Mayflower. And then when they find out all of the work that they need to do, they get discouraged, or they find that they don't think that they have the time. It's worth doing though. It's a good genealogical exercise. It does take a little bit of time to, say, write to the town clerks, but generally those things are available online, where you can just email the town clerk and just say, this is what I'm trying to do. Can you find this information? If you can't, can you send me back a letter? And I've had people who have hauled down records off of shelves and looked things up for me and made photocopies of things. So it's hit or miss when it comes to town clerks, but it's worth your while to do this sort of thing. But don't be disappointed and don't be discouraged. And there are people out there that will help you, and there are genealogists to help you. One very helpful thing, of course, is that we have the St. Louis County Public Library and the St. Louis Public Library, which are huge resources when it comes to genealogical material, especially in the New England area. Many of the things that the Picton Press out of Rockland, Maine can be found there. The help that you can get from the genealogists, librarians that are there are very good. I think that that's all you need to know, at least to start. I would just like to put a plug in for a few other things if you're interested. As well as being the governor of the Mayflower Society, I'm also the president of the Sons of the Revolution. I'm also the president, these are the state presidency, mind you. Presidency of the Society of the War of 1812, the governor for Sons and Daughters of the Pilgrims, and the department commander for the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. I didn't actually try to do 5 state societies all at one time. This is just how things sort of fell. I'm also the national president of the Order of the First Families of Maine, the descendants of early postmasters, 1607 to 1900, and the National Society of Colonial Indentured Servants. I belong to about 80 different family groups or hereditary societies. So if you have any questions about things in general, I can answer them. I know Leslie Richards, who will be up next, is another person that can help out with that as well. She belongs to many of the women's societies. So we're more than happy to answer any of the questions you may have on these types of things. And I would like to also say that I really appreciate the St. Louis Genealogical Society's publication on the books of the War of 1812. So I purchased mine and have been using it. I've reviewed it for our National 1812 magazine. An excellent, excellent resource. I wish that the maps were more detailed, but you do have maps that identify things. So, and I'm sure that they have the data to back that if you're interested in a particular thing.
Great, thank you so much. We do have one question about the silver books and if they're available locally and where you can find them.
Yeah, the silver books can be found at the St. Louis County Library, also the St. Louis Public Library. Our state society pays to have the silver books go to 3 state libraries. So one goes to Kansas City, one goes to St. Louis, one goes to Springfield. So they should be available there. I believe that the county library has a more complete and accurate list, an accurate set, but they can also be purchased online. So if you were to go out, look for the General Society of Mayflower Descendants, and you can shop and you can purchase those books. They're a huge resource. I mean, they are amazing stuff because you will get a really well-documented genealogy for those first 5 generations. They will tell you where they find every data point. They will tell you who they, the people married. And you're not just following, say, the Alden line, for example. So it's not you get an Alden genealogy, and once they hit a female in the line, then the genealogy stops. Now these go and cascade through all of the children. So if the Alden's married into the Turners and the Turners married into the Clarks, then you're going to find the Clarks. Absolutely wonderful resource.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much again for speaking today.
Thank you for being patient with me.
Oh, no, thank you again. Scott Hall will be presenting next on the History and Genealogy Department, followed by Raina Sherrigan. And let me switch it over to Scott. There you go.
Okay, I'm going to just share my screen here. And, let's see. Okay.
What?
The church
Directory?
directory.
Sorry, just getting organized here. There we go. So we're running a little ahead of schedule, so I thought I would just give you a little more information about the History and Genealogy Department. Um, as I mentioned at the beginning of the Expo, ran through some information about our department, and we are closed to the public right now because of the pandemic, but we are helping people as much as we can otherwise. So one of the things we do offer, and we've always offered in our department, is a lookup service. So our staff will do lookups and scan information from index sources in print and microfilm. So for instance, if you know of a book that has information that you might be interested in, we can look in the index in that book and see if the person you're looking for, the subject you were looking for is mentioned. We can then photocopy or scan pages from that book and send those to you by email. We can also scan tables of contents and index pages and send those to you beforehand, so you can kind of decide for yourself what you want to look at. Also, we have indexes on our website to some of our microfilm sets. We can do lookups in those, scan the image from the microfilm and send that off. So keep that in mind. We do limit 3 lookups per request, but after you submit 3 lookups, then you can, once we answer those, you can submit 3 more, and so on. So, we just don't have the staff time to do general research for people. So we can't handle, the big questions like, send me everything you can about my great-grandfather. We can't really do that. We try to limit what we can do to kind of lookups in specific sources. However, because there is no public access to our collection right now, we are willing to stretch that a little bit to try to help you find the information that you're looking for. So you can always give us a call and we can kind of discuss that if you want. As I mentioned, we can do copies of library materials. So we can copy up to 30 pages from one book or one article from a journal issue. And that's kind of our policy based on copyright restrictions. We do have an online request form that you can submit. And so I'll show you how to get to that. If you go to our website, the History and Genealogy page on our website, it will look like this. And to the left there is a blue box that has a list of links to internal pages. So in that menu is a link to the lookup requests. So if you click that, you will get a form that looks like what you see here on the right. Just fill that out. With that form, you are able to submit up to 3 requests or 3 lookups per request per form. We also give assistance over the phone. Our telephone number is 994-3300. You will get a phone menu, and I believe we are number 5 on that menu. So just call that number and press 5, and you should be connected to our department. So our phone hours are 9 a.m. through 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and 9 to 5 on Friday and Saturday. And we are currently closed on Sundays. And of course, we are closed during most common holidays. So check the library website for information about that. We also have a book of genealogist service. Now, this is for advanced research assistance. So if you're just beginning out, or if you have a simple question, you can just call us or submit a lookup request. Or we do have, as I mentioned earlier, tutorials. So if you're just starting out and you want some information about how to get started, we do have a tutorial online for that. Otherwise, if you give us a call, anybody can kind of help you get started in that anytime. But if you've been doing research for a while and you have, you've run into a brick wall, or you have a really specific goal you're trying to achieve and you just don't know how go about doing it, this service is designed for those situations. Often you can submit a request. Oftentimes we find we can resolve them by email, but we will set up a phone consultation with you if we need to. And we also have an online form for that as well. So if you go back to that blue menu box on our webpage, the very first link up there is to book a genealogist. And there is a form there for you to submit your contact information and then give us a description of what you're trying to achieve. I also want to mention our genealogy classes. Earlier I mentioned that we do record our classes and we make those available on our website. But we do have live classes via Zoom as well. As I also mentioned, the brief video tutorials as well as the class recordings that are on our website. So how do you find out about our classes? Well, if you go back to the History and Genealogy page again, and there are two areas where you can get information about the classes. At the very bottom of the page, the upcoming classes are displayed there. And then at the top of the page, there is a link in that menu bar to events. So I'm going to talk about the bottom of the page first. The upcoming listings are displayed there, and there is a register button. If you click that button, it will take you directly to the form where you can register for that class. So we are conducting our classes by Zoom right now. So when you register, you will receive an email with the Zoom login information and a link to the class handout. Also at the very top of the page, on every page in the library website, there's this menu bar and there is a link to events and classes. You click that, you get this search form. Now you can just scroll down through the list of classes, but you can also kind of filter them out. So to do that, you would, under event type, you would click on that and a drop-down menu appears, scroll down and click genealogy programs and then apply. And then you will get just a list of the genealogy programs with a button to register. So here is our contact information. I also had put that in the chat at the beginning of the Expo. And so we can now proceed to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Up next, we have Raina Sherrigan with the Archdiocese of St. Louis Archives. Let me spotlight your video for you.
All right. Here I'm gonna share my presentation. All right, am I good? Everybody can see?
Yep, you're good.
The screen? All right, super. All right, hi. It looks like we got a really good turnout for this. I'm really happy about that. I participated last year and it was really fun working the booth, but I'm glad you guys were able to continue that this year. I've been working for the Archdiocese of St. Louis now for 7 years, and I'm going to talk today about some of the records that you can find in our archives. I'm prefacing this presentation with a brief note about access and restrictions. We do have a lot of sensitive and private information in our archives about individuals. This can be great for the genealogist, but it also means that we aren't able to release everything. We have a lot of legally protected information in our archives, and we do reserve the right to restrict anything if we don't think it's appropriate to release. And we are also fond of screening materials before we let anybody see them. Another reason we might have access restrictions is due to the fragility of records. So for example, we do have the registers here for closed parishes, but a lot of them are in really poor condition. So we encourage people to use the microfilm or go on familysearch.org. And I'll be talking about this in just a moment. We are not open to researchers right now because of COVID-19. Usually we would invite you in to come look at the collections yourself. We are also short-staffed and a lot of people are asking questions lately, but we're trying to do everything we can to accommodate researchers remotely. So we are also spending a little bit more time than usual with patrons to try to make sure that their needs are met. All right. We're going to start off with the Sacramental Registers, which is probably one of the best resources for genealogists. These first two Sacramental Registers, called Baptism and Marriage, are the best ones for finding out different information about your ancestors. They're going to have parents' names, they'll have baptismal and other church date names, they'll have the witnesses. So there's all sorts of information in these that it can help you set up your family tree. First communion, confirmation, and death records are a little less common. Sometimes churches didn't keep them in the past. But they can also have useful information, though they're not usually as useful as the baptism or marriage records. Sick call books and Book of the Elect are probably the least useful for genealogists. Sick call books we can't release to the public because it's when a priest visits someone who's ill, often giving them communion. And Book of the Elect didn't really come into play until the 1980s. And Books of the Elect are basically lists of people who are in the RCIA program or converting to Catholicism. We at the archives, we consider records up to 1930 to be open to the public. In the 1990s, all of the registers in the Archdiocese of St. Louis were scanned, microfilmed. Then later on, the FamilySearch.org digitized all those microfilm reels. So they're actually available digitally to you online. When you go to FamilySearch.org, however, you cannot search individuals. There's not a search field. So you have to actually go to the digitized images and then manually browse through them. So the county library set up a great YouTube instruction video on this that you can find at this short link. And I wonder if Ellen can also make sure that appears on any information that we're getting out to you guys, which might include this presentation. Again, the registers are also available at microfilm physically at the St. Louis County Library on Lindbergh, but of course they're closed to the public right now. There are a few instances in which the microfilm didn't capture records fully. So if you do find any gaps or are wondering if records exist, you're more than welcome to contact us and we'll try to help you out. For cemetery information, the archives does not have any burial records from the Catholic cemeteries. The Catholic Cemetery Office owns 17 of the 54 Catholic cemeteries that exist in the Archdiocese of St. Louis. As far as they know, they've indexed every record they have, and it's in the database, which is searchable on their website. A few months ago, they were having issues with this website. People were reporting issues. I did file a complaint, a gentle letter of, can you fix this? And I didn't hear back, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with that database. Individual parishes are going to own the remaining cemeteries, and since they are operating them, they're going to have those records. So you would have to contact that parish directly in order to get any information about those cemetery burials. And I've found that the list of cemeteries that's located on the St. Louis Genealogical Society website is an excellent tool. I would highly recommend you use their website for lists of all sorts of institutions, but their cemetery list indicates the years that the cemetery operated and the denomination, if there is one. I've used this several times when people thought their ancestor may have been buried at a Catholic cemetery, and it turned out to be another cemetery on the list. We also have parish files here that are going to include all sorts of things about specific churches. The parish files were maintained by the chancery, so by the chancellor and archbishop. And this means they're often very administrative in nature, like, oh, we need to fix the boiler tomorrow. Can you help us out? But there are some gems in here. We have lists of priests that were appointed to the parish. You're gonna find photographs in here, news clippings. Parish history booklets are excellent sources of information. And then there's all sorts of other things that we can find in these records. The bulk of these files is from the 1940s through the 1980s. And I encourage people to look at other things besides just individuals' records, because besides setting up your family tree and your relationships, it's also important to know the historical background that your ancestors were living in. It really fills out that story. And churches were one of the communities that your ancestors may have been involved in. This is an example of some of the things that you might find in a parish file. This is from St. Laborious Parish, which closed in 1991. The archives took in all their records, and they were very good Germans and kept very excellent records. So we have all sorts of things from the parish. We have a whole collection of First Communion and graduation photographs that are just beautiful, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner. There's also going to be things like bulletins, news clippings. This at the top left is a booklet for the young folks Marian sodality. It's really quite beautiful. And then on the right, you'll see this is a informational form that the parishes were required to fill out regarding information about their parish. Another collection that could be useful to you is that we do have a small collection of school grade books. This does not include every school in the Archdiocese. For some reason, I don't know how this collection came to be quite, but it's only a collection of certain schools in the city. We consider these records to also be open up until 1930, because many people are living much longer than they used to. This here is an example of a grade book and attendance record. And these files can contain things like the child's name. You can confirm whether they attended the school. We have their birth date sometimes, their age, their parents occasionally. So it can contain all sorts of information. One of the most interesting ways I had a researcher use this particular collection was she knew her uncle had dropped out of school due to polio, and so she was able to confirm exactly when that occurred, and it really revealed a lot to her about why her own mother ended up dropping out of school, probably to care for her uncle. And then continuing with schools, oops. If you are looking specifically for school photographs, information, memorabilia, maybe you're looking for yourself. We do have school records here from parishes and schools that are closed. However, it's very hit or miss. I don't know why the records aren't complete, but a lot of times we haven't received everything that we've wanted to. We don't have quite as much for parishes and schools that are open because they're still operating and they still have their own records. So if that parish is open, then you want to contact them directly and see if they have anything. Transcripts and student records in general are not going to be open to you, just so you know, neither from the parish nor from us. The one exception was those school grade books that I talked about that go up through around 1930s. If you're looking for other information about schools, you also want to probably look for alumni groups online on Facebook or websites like classmates.com. And you can also contact the religious order that staffed that school. They may also have all sorts of things about the school in their own archives. For Catholic high schools, it's about the same. Our collections are going to be hit and miss. If the school is still open, you definitely want to contact them directly. If the school wasn't an archdiocesan school, we may not have those records. If it was privately run by a religious order, you might want to contact that religious order's archives directly. If you're looking for yearbooks, we do have some here, not nearly the collection I would like, but the St. Louis County Library has quite a few as well. So you may want to check with their website and see which yearbooks that they have in their collections. We also have priest personnel files here. More recent priest files aren't going to be available to you for obvious reasons. We have privacy reasons involved. But some of the older priests, if you have a family member who is a priest, or you are looking to at the priest who married or did the baptism for, you know, one of your ancestors, we can probably provide you with some information. We often have appointment cards, photographs, different memorial cards, and news clippings about the priest. Sometimes we'll have some correspondence that might be of interest. Again, because these files are with the administration, just like with the parish files, a lot of it tends to be mundane in nature. It's, hey, can I say this Mass on Wednesday instead? And the Archbishop says, yes, you can. And so it can be very regular kind of day-to-day business. If the priest or sister or person you're researching, a brother, was affiliated with a religious order, we aren't going to have those personnel files here. We only keep files for diocesan priests and clergy. So you're going to have to contact that religious order specifically to find out more information about that person. This is an example of a few items that came from a priest personnel file for Monsignor Henry Wellsiepen. And he was appointed Vicar General for German congregation in St. Louis. This was at a time when we had a surge of Irish and a surge of German, and so they decided to try to administrate those differently. So we have here a biographical form on the left that he was required to fill out. It has all sorts of information, including when he was born, where he was born in Cologne, Prussia, that he was ordained in St. Louis. I think that says, I can't read what date that says, but he was ordained in St. Louis for the Archdiocese of St. Louis. We have a memorial card here, and this letter on the right always tickles me because it's a letter from the other chancellor, Henry van der Sanden, to the Archbishop saying that Monsignor Henry Wellsiepen has not been paid for an entire year. So the poor guy went without a salary, apparently, for an entire year. All right, orphanage records. We do have the orphanage records for 3 homes and no others. St. Joseph's Home for Boys, St. Mary's Home for Girls, and St. Anne's Hospital and Foundling Asylum. St. Anne's Hospital was a laying-in home for expectant mothers, a maternity hospital, and they also had a connected orphanage where infants would be placed for adoption. A lot of times women might place their child for only a short period of time just because they didn't have the money or the resources to care for that child, but then they end up going back to pick up the child. The St. Anne's home is only for children up through toddler age. So by 5 years old or so, they would be transferred to St. Joseph Home for Boys or St. Mary's Home for Girls. The records here can include child's names, birth dates, the date they went into the home and the date they left, who picked them up from the home, and sometimes other family circumstances relating to why they were put in the home. Orphanage records are really touchy in the state of Missouri because adoption records are closed legally. This includes throughout any time period. There's no time cut off for this. So even if we have records from the 1850s that show that a child's adopted, we cannot release it legally. Gaining access to adoption records requires a court order. So you'd have to go through the proper channels. I'm not quite familiar with what those are. The St. Louis Genealogical Society has an excellent resource on orphanages, where to find the records, if the records are known to exist. It was written by Vicki Fagel. It's a publication I highly recommend you purchase it and look through it because it's extremely helpful. And well, I have a list of other restrictions here. I think that's all I want to say about adoption records though. And lastly, I'm going to talk a little bit about our Catholic newspapers collection. We have quite a few different ones on microfilm. Many of them are focused on Irish matters and news because they were English-speaking papers. This paper on the right is a German paper called Pastoral Blatt. It was actually founded by Monsignor Henry Wellsiepen, and it kind of gives a rundown of the different German priests and parishes and what's happening in the diocese. Our main newspaper today is called the St. Louis Review. We do have it available on microfilm and physically bound copies. The county library will also have it available on microfilm. It began in 1941 as the St. Louis Register, it was called, and we have completely digitized the register. So I didn't put the end date here, but it runs from 1941 to 1946, and you can see it online at the Catholic Research Resource Alliance page at this link here. We also have, I didn't spotlight it here because it's very early and it's not necessarily the best resource for genealogists, but we also have a newspaper called Shepherd of the Valley. It ran in the 1830s, and then again, they tried to revive it in the 1850s. That newspaper is also available digitally at the Catholic Research Resources Alliance. And these are text searchable. So you can just type in the parish name or the person's name you're looking for and hopefully come up with some hits. This newspaper archive also has newspapers, Catholic newspapers from other places in the US, so just be aware that there's going to be other papers there. And I think I may have finished, hopefully in good time. Please feel free to contact us with any of your questions via email or phone number. These are the emails and phone numbers for our general office. While I do handle most of the reference, I get help occasionally, so it's best that they end up in here. And then we can address them as need be. Do you have any questions?
I know we had a few questions about getting some of the specific information you shared today. Do you have anywhere online they can go to find some of the specific information you provided on your slides? Or would it be best just to contact you?
I guess it depends on what you're looking for. We do have on our website, you will see some things that may be useful to you, which I don't know why I didn't put my website on this webpage. I'm so sorry. But if you go to the Archdiocese of St. Louis Archives website, you will find a list of parishes that have closed in the diocese. If you go to our collections page under the research menu option, you'll find a list of finding aids for collections that we have finding aids for. This isn't our complete run of materials, but this is a start for things that we've been able to produce an actual document that outlines what we have. On that collections page as well, you'll find some very useful interactive maps, and we have lists of orphanages on our webpage as well, with some minimal, brief historical descriptions. So I would suggest you contact us. Suggest you look at our website, and then if you're not seeing what you find, please feel free to email or call us.
Great, thank you. We have another question. Can records from Villa Maria Home for Unwed Mothers be obtained? I believe I learned that the home was at Florissant Road and Highway 70 on grounds of Mount Providence School for Boys, and both are now gone.
That was probably run by a religious order, a specific religious order. St. Philomena Home for Girls, I think, did you say?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I believe that it was run by a religious order. I would have to double check though. I don't have it at my fingertips right now. We might have a little bit of information from it, but we do not have their physical records of who was there. I know that for a fact. So it might be that the religious order that ran it might still have those historical records in their archives. So one of the things that you definitely want to keep an eye on is You know, there's a lot of different people working in the Archdiocese, but we don't all get governed by the same body. So the Archdiocesan priests and deacons are run by the Archdiocese. They manage that personnel. And then individual religious orders are managing other institutions and personnel, sisters, priests, clergy. So they often have their own records on that kind of stuff. So, but you're welcome to email me and I can figure it out with you come Monday. So.
Okay, there used to be a Catholic TV show here in St. Louis. Do you have any information on this show?
Yes, there were a few. So the Archdiocese of St. Louis had its own radio and television office. We have a lot of those materials here. We've been working to digitize those materials. So we have an excellent collection on YouTube. There was a program called Quiz a Catholic. If you search Quiz a Catholic in YouTube, you will find probably at least a dozen episodes. They're really fun to look through. We've digitized quite a bit of our television shows, and quite a bit of the other ones, quite a few of those other ones are also on YouTube. We haven't gotten everything up quite yet. The YouTube handle, man, I wish I had all this at my fingertips, but the YouTube handle is through the Archdiocese of St. Louis itself. So it's not a specific archives page, but yeah, I would definitely recommend you look through some of those videos. They're really great to watch.
Hey, is any information available concerning dispensation granted for marriage due to consanguinity circa 1870s?
We have some dispensation records. It's really a long shot with the way our records here. Also, the tribunal office that usually deals with those kinds of dispensations and annulments for marriages and things, they keep their own records. We have an agreement that we will hold their records on deposit, but that we don't access them. So it may be that you have to go through tribunal, but why don't you contact me first at one of these links here, at one of these outlets here, and I will be happy to take a look in our records first, and then we'll see where we can go from there.
Great, thank you. There's one more question. Do you know if other archdioceses have similar information available, like in Missouri or Illinois?
This is a very good question. Every diocese is run independently. So every diocese is going to have its own capabilities in providing historical information. We are highly blessed in the Archdiocese of St. Louis to have a large Catholic population that can support a large archival program. So we are one of the larger archives for diocesan archives in the US, and we have 4 staff members here. 1 is part-time. So it really depends on the diocese that you're looking for information from. The Diocese of Kansas City, St. Joseph, they have an archives, and the gentleman there, Zach, is great. The Diocese of Jefferson City in Missouri and the Diocese of Springfield, Cape Girardeau, they're smaller, and they don't have, while they have archival records, they may not have the capability to answer historical questions because of their workload. They may not have someone specifically, that's all they do is archives. So it really depends on what diocese that you're looking into, but it can never hurt to try and contact them and see what they can do for you. If you're having any trouble, sometimes a town will be in one part of Missouri and it was in one diocese at one point, and then they gave the territory to another diocese, and it can get a little messy at times trying to figure out where the information might be. You're more than welcome, again, to contact us, and we're happy to try to help you figure out where those records will be.
All right, thank you so much, Raina. Really
You guys
appreciate
are welcome.
you talking today and sharing all this information. And to follow up with your talk today, Scott Hall is also going to share some of the information on the History and Genealogy website.
Awesome, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Nice seeing you guys.
You too.
Thanks, Rena. That was really great. Great presentation. I just wanted to take the opportunity to show you, we do have some information about resources from our department that are on our website. So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully get to the right place. Okay, so this is our website. We're back to the website. This is live. I'm doing this live. So here on the left side again is the blue box with the menu items. If you go down there and click on indexes and finding aids, and then you will get a list of other pages on our website. And if you scroll down, we do have a link here called Catholic Churches, and you will get all the pages on our website that have to do with resources for researching Catholic churches, Catholic records. We do have an index to St. Liboria's Catholic Church marriage records. There was one register that did not get filmed, I believe, and we do have that. We do have some indexes to parish records for the Archdiocese, and a number of other things. So you can take a look there. The main thing is this first link, Catholic Church records held by the St. Louis County Library. And you will see information there about what we have in our department. These are things that you can perhaps ask for lookups for, as I mentioned before. But kind of one of our prize resources is this guide to St. Louis Archdiocese and parish records. If you click on that, it will actually open up a PDF, and this has information about, it's basically a finding aid to the microfilm set for the records that we have on microfilm for Archdiocese and parish records. It's also got some historical information about parishes. It's got a parish map, diocesan map. And then it has listings for individual churches, what records are available, and also if those records have been filmed by the Family History Library, it will give you the roll number. Now that allows you to go to the Family Search website, go to their catalog, bring up that roll. They've all been digitized, and that allows you to search them there. So this is a great resource for you if you're researching records in the Archdiocese and are trying to find records for a specific parish. So just wanted to point that out, and I hope that you will take a look at it. Thanks.
Great, thanks so much, Scott. Next, we will be going to Leslie Richards. She is going to talk about the National Society of Women Descendants of the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company. So let me spotlight your video, Leslie. All right.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me, Ellen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. I'm the current president of the Missouri Court, which is what we call a chapter in this organization for Ancient and Honorable, our shorter name. And I'm also the parliamentarian national and the national editor of our membership newsletter called The Broadside. I'm going to begin by reading a little bit. If I tell the story, it takes too long. If I read what somebody else wrote concisely, it goes faster. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the history, because not many people know about our organization. It's rather small, and very few people that you can join on. The Honorable Artillery Company was incorporated in London, in England, of course, in 1537. It is the second oldest military organization in the world. The kings of England were included among its members from the time of its organization. As the first colonists settled in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, each group brought with them one or more professional soldiers to help to train them in their own defense and to command their militia. Many of these members had been members of the Honorable Artillery Company of London, and some were sons of men who had belonged to that group. The officers and other gentlemen saw the need for a similar military organization in the New World in order to establish uniformity of military drill and tactics in the new colony. These prominent men applied for a charter for that purpose in 1637, 100 years after the founding of the original Honorable Artillery Company in London. Lost my place. and the charter was finally granted in 1638. Thus, the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company of Massachusetts, which we are the women descendants of, became the oldest military organization in the world, and the third oldest, the oldest in the New World, and the third oldest in the world. The position of the members of the company in the social, civil, and military life of the colony indicates the respect which people entertained for the company, as well as the ability and prominence of its members. They were first in organizing churches. They were prominent in framing and in administering the laws of the colonies, and later all of New England. They were foremost in the introduction of manufacturing and the extension of trade in New England, and later expanded their influence to all of North America. They were the chief military minds of the colony and among the first in its defense. Many of them were public benefactors, contributing their considerable wealth to education, religion, and charitable purposes. The members trod every battlefield in New England. They fought for freedom on foreign soil. They judged the courts. They pleaded at the bar. They instituted town governments. They were active in settling the towns of the frontier. They were among the founders of our great academic institutions. They became the progenitors of our substantial and dominant families of colonial descent. Now, eligibility in our organization. Membership is by invitation, but you are welcome to ask to be invited, which you are not in all of these groups, but in this one, we welcome your inquiries. The applicant must be 18 years or older and prove lineal descent from a member of the company from 1637 to 1774, or from a member of the General Court of Massachusetts Bay in the year 1638, or from a member of the clergy who preached at one of the annual election sermons, also from 1638 to 1774. In 1951, Queen Elizabeth II was made an honorary member of our society shortly before her accession to the throne. The object of our society are pretty self-evident, probably, to aid in perpetuating and honoring the memory of the members of the military company, to commemorate the organization of the company in 1637, the granting to them of the charter on 17 March 1638, and their first meeting under the charter on the first Monday of June 1638. Another object to incite a higher patriotism, a purer citizenship, and unswerving loyalty to our country, to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. I sound like I'm running for office, don't I? And to foster a close fraternity among our members. And another final purpose is education, to aid in the study of historical, genealogical, and biographical research. Those pieces of information are all taken from our bylaws. Now, what do? We members join through local courts, which are part of our national organization, or as members at large, and the courts decide on their own local activities. The National Society publishes. One of our main things we do is publish. This is one of our first publications in recent times, and it is a list of all the ancestors from whom one can join, and it has their dates. However, and that, as you can see, is just a pamphlet. Again, I'm going to repeat, as Kay Weber did, our URL often, because practically every word I'm saying is on our website, but at least you'll have an overview from here. Our newest publication is called, I can hardly lift it with only one hand, the Cowan Book, and it is very thick, as you can see. All of these little tabs have something to do with my genealogy. This is brand new, hot off the presses. It has very thick paper. That's one of the reasons it's so heavy. It's on heavyweight, almost like photo paper. That may be photo paper. And it gives a paragraph of everything that we have in our records, not all of the work that could be done genealogically on every man from whom you can descend to join, but what we have in our records. And it's been enhanced a little bit by the registrar ladies over the years. That book is for sale on our website, and I'm pretty sure it's for sale to the public. I don't believe it's on a members, oh, we don't have a members section on this website, come to think of it. And that again is wdahc.com. So that's our newest one. And we also publish a directory and bylaws pamphlet, if you will, or we call it yearbook, for all of our members once every administration, which is every 3 years. We meet annually in April in Washington, D.C. Our meeting is called Rendezvous, and all members are welcome to attend. It takes place during Hereditary Society weeks from the beginning to the middle of April. Our meeting is usually toward the beginning. Our Missouri court is very small, unfortunately. It is the first court after we became a national society and began forming local groups. Missouri was the first state to organize. We have trouble here though, because many of the ladies interested in lineage societies in Missouri have Southern roots, myself included. I just got lucky and I have a Southern mother and a Yankee father. I am in the minority in Missouri because of having a lot of Massachusetts genealogy. I have trouble recruiting new members for Ancient and Honorable because there just aren't very many women in the circles of people joining these groups here in Missouri. So if you know anybody that's got a lot of Massachusetts ancestry, I'd be interested in talking to them. We meet in the Columbia area, usually in Columbia, but in that area. So we have, because we do have members all over the state, we try to meet, we meet at least twice a year, but we'd like to meet more often. And we meet with a couple other groups so that everybody doesn't have to travel so much. Your court registrar, or the registrar national in the case of a member at large, works with an applicant to finalize the application. She does not do the research for you, but she does assist you to prepare and present an acceptable application that's proper, and she makes sure that your check and your proofs and your application all get where they have to be in the right order. You can join on one ancestor, which is what I did, and then later you can file supplemental lines if you have more than one. Normally, we recommend that you try and join on the ancestor that's the easiest for you to prove. A lot of ladies like to join on one that's difficult, which is fine with us. It does force you to get into those files and get into the records and prove that line. It gives you a goal to force you to push on that maybe unknown or unfamiliar line. On our website, www.dahac.com. Across the top are quite a few tabs, and our application itself is actually on the membership tab, and you can print it out, use it as a what I call a worksheet, fill it in by hand, do whatever you want, and then as your research gets complete, you can type it up and it would become obviously your final application. There is a lot of our history. There are lists of our projects. And there is a tab that is court presidents. And you can go and see what states we have. I counted them and now I've forgotten what I got. Let's see, 19 states that have courts. And you can join in any state, not necessarily the one in which you live. Perhaps you have a cousin or a friend who belongs to our group and they live in one of the states where we are. You're welcome to join there. Some people like to join in the state from which their ancestor served. Anyway, you can contact the court president and get information about that state's court on that court president's tab. And it's a great fast way to reach me also. because I am the current Missouri Court president. You just push, you go down to Missouri and you see my name, and it's a hot link, and you push it, and there we are. The costs to join are very reasonable. The application fee and first year's dues for national is $55. And I forgot how much our local court dues, I think, are $20. It's been months since I paid mine. $245 for a brand new member who wants to come in as a life member, and $10 for a junior member. So we try to keep that reasonable. As I said, it's kind of a select group because there is a set list of people from whom you must descend in order to join. There is the opportunity for someone to discover someone new for us, and that is, we do not have a complete list of all of the clergymen who preached those annual sermons. There is a known list of years that are missing. So if one is doing some research and came across a line that said, so-and-so was a member of the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company, and that person's from Massachusetts, not a member, excuse me, preached a sermon, especially if you're looking into your clergyman ancestry, and there's a group for that, you could come to us and say, wait a minute, I don't see this man on your list, but here's where I read it. And between our registrar and other members who are interested, and you, the applicant, you might be able to prove that we might identify a new clergyman, which would be good. And I wanted to say a little bit real quickly, Sumner, if you were on and listening to our Missouri Mayflower Governor, Sumner Honeywell, he said he belongs to 80 of these groups and family groups and so forth. I don't belong to 80. I'm not sure that I'm probably proud of that, but I do belong to quite a few, and almost all of them that meet regularly here in Missouri. So if you're interested in some group that you don't hear about today, or you just want some more information and you forgot who it was or whatnot, you're welcome to email me through the website, and I can probably get you an introduction to even some of the societies that I don't belong to, because I do know quite a few of the people in the state of Missouri who belong to the various organizations. I am very proud to say that come April, I will be a 50-year member of the Missouri Mayflower Society. And it's a great group, and our library does have, the county library does have an excellent selection of the silver books. Now, back to the subject of books, I want to say that our library has many, many books from the various lineage societies. Another group I'm going to speak about later this afternoon, we make sure all of our publications are given to them. So I think if you go to the genealogy room and ask for help or just look around, you'll find many, many of the lineage books, which are a big help. I'm going to show you a book for another group and show you just how much help they can be. This is a group I will be speaking about later. All of these sticky notes have to do with my genealogy, and quite a few of those I have found not through normal research processes because I was looking for somebody to join a group on. I have found them because I've looked in the lineage book and I go, oh, I know that name. I have an ancestor by that name. And many times turns, of course, in New England, that's quite common. It'll turn out to be the same family, either perhaps a cousin, if not a direct ancestor. Ancient and Honorable we have belongings, we have histories, we have quite a few artifacts. We have the original Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company charter, and our archives are kept at Faneuil Hall in Boston on think it's the 5th floor, there's a room where all of our archives are kept, and our members are welcome to go there and research and or just see what they want to see. Our members we sometimes have national events there, commemorations and such. We have some of the prettiest insignia of all of the groups, in my opinion. So it's a wonderful group. There is a men's group, and I think I can't remember its exact name, but you'd find it if you went out to Sons of the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company on Google or something. And there is now another group that is one society that has male and female members. I don't want to lose any possible members by giving them too much press, but they are out there. We're very proud to be among the oldest of the women's hereditary organizations. And that's the main crux of what I wanted you all to hear today. As I said, I am actively recruiting members in Missouri. Our court only has very few who we have members, but several of them live out of state. Several of them are in health that does not allow them to travel around the state and attend meetings. And we really are dedicated to our cause, and we don't want to have to disband our Missouri court. So if you have any friends or relatives, especially those with Massachusetts, and there are a couple who actually you would find in Connecticut. They perhaps served in Massachusetts and then moved to Connecticut, and their lineage is more recorded in Connecticut. But mostly Massachusetts soldiers back in the 16 and early 1700s. You can go online, as I said, and you can easily find our list of ancestors. It's right there. You do not have to be a computer wizard. Our website is written for everybody who's interested in the subject.
Great, thank you so much, Leslie. We do have a question about the lineage books you mentioned. What were some of the titles that you listed?
Oh, sure. The new one, which I highly recommend, the title is Genealogical Data of the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company of Massachusetts. And if you're speaking to somebody, it's called the Cowan book, C-O-W-A-N, named for the lady who originally published the first volume. And it's available for sale on our website. And I hate to admit this, but I'm not sure if we've gotten a copy to the library here yet, but if we haven't, we will. And then the other one is simply called Register of Ancestors, the National Society of Women Descendants of the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company. And I would not be surprised if this one might be at our library.
Great, thank you so much, Leslie. We really appreciated listening to having you talk with us today. And I will let you know if anyone has any further questions for you. Looks like that's it for now. Oh, we do have one other question.
Oh, good. Okay.
I see several Winslow brothers on the company list, but not my ancestor named Josiah. Where is a good source I can check to see if he might be eligible?
I would say if you can, number one, you have to be descended directly. So, but you might find a cousinship. Let's see. If I were doing it, I would go to the internet and try and find some Winslow genealogies, perhaps. Let's see. The other thing is, in our book, it does give the names of the men plus their wives, and in many cases, their children. So by looking through here, you could find a child, a name. And actually, I'd be happy to copy and scan an email or copy and mail a copy of the Winslow section of our book if you would like to if the person would like to contact me through our website. that's the fastest way to find me, is to go to the website and look under court presidents in Missouri, and I come up right there.
All right, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next we will have Scott Hall go over a few last minute tips about our website, and we'll give some more information for you.
Okay, we're back here. We do have a subject guide to lineage societies resources in our department, and I put a link to that in the chat. I also did a quick search for Winslow family in the catalog, and I'm going to put the results to that in a link in the chat as well. So we're coming to the end of our morning session, but I did want to share a few more things, if I could. So I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, so I just want to go over a couple more things on our website that you might find useful. Here we are back at the History and Genealogy page, and back at this blue box with the links to pages, other pages on our website. So I just want to point out this one link to indexes and finding aids. We have a lot of pages with lots of information about what's in our collection. These include indexes to like microfilm sources and other things that you might find helpful and that you can actually request lookups in. So if you click on that link, you get a page that looks like what you see on the right there, indexes, finding aids, and guides. And there it is there. So at the top of this is a search box. I wanted to talk about that search box a little bit. You can actually put in a keyword, a name in here. I would suggest that you don't do a full name, but maybe a surname. And when you click go, it will actually return links to pages on our website that contain that name or keyword. So for instance, I'm going to do a search on the name of Schaberkutter, which is a good German name. And when I click go, I get a list of links to other pages on our website. I'm going to blow that up a little bit. So here you can see that this name is found in, we have some indexes that we have done to local history books. For instance, here was a history of St. Peter's Lutheran Church that this name appears in. We have an index to local history, or history for Emmanuel Lutheran Church in St. Louis. And then we also have an index to St. Louis Wells. The name shows up there. We have an index to Emmanuel Lutheran Church Baptisms. The name shows up there. We have a index to obituaries that were published in the Westliche Post, which was a German language daily published in St. Louis. So obviously there are some obituaries related to that family there. And so that just gives you kind of an idea of what you might find when you do that. So below that search box, you will find a list, and these will take you, these are links that basically provide you access by subject to various pages on our website. So I'm going to look at this Canton Bern, Switzerland church records link here. If you click on that, there it is bigger, it will take you to another page with the link. You have to kind of do several clicks before you get to what you're looking for. But after you click that, you will get to a page that has some information and then a link to actually a PDF. And this will allow you to open or download this guide to the church books of Canton Bern, Switzerland. We have a complete set of church records for Canton Bern, Switzerland. We are the only library in the United States that has a complete set of the microfilm records there. So this is a guide to that microfilm set. Okay, back to that menu box. If you look down there, there is a link to subject guides. If you click on that link, you will get a page that looks like you see there on the right. Here's a little bigger one. And there are links to subject guides to our collection that you can download as PDFs. These are not exhaustive guides to the collection, but it gives you kind of an idea of what we have mostly in print, and can maybe help you get started or help you think about your research. So for instance, here's the one for Arkansas. Gives you just a list of various print resources we have for researching that state, along with the call numbers where you will find them in the collection. Okay, so earlier I noticed that someone did ask a question about our new building. And if you have been following library news at all in the last 10 years, you know that we have been trying to build a new library for the History and Genealogy collection. The latest plan was that a new building that would have our collection as well as offices for administration and space for all of the kind of central services that serve all of the library branches. There was to be a new building, a kind of administrative center, plus the History and Genealogy department, which was to be built in the suburb of Frontenac, only about 3/4 of a mile from where we are now at headquarters. So as plans came forward or were made public for that facility, the city of Frontenac had some concerns about it. This led to some negotiations between the city of Frontenac and the library, and the decision was made to remove the History and Genealogy collection from that project. So at this point, we will share space in a new headquarters building. The building in Frontenac is going to go ahead. They are going to go ahead and build it, but it will be just for administrative and central services purposes only. Our collection will not be there. Instead, headquarters is being, we have plans to replace this building. This building will be torn down, and then a new facility for our collection will become part of that new building. So the plans for this are very preliminary. There are no construction, there's no construction schedule, no completion date set yet, but those are the plans at this point. So, okay. So, I'm going to come back. So, I would be happy to answer any questions about any of that if there are any. And I don't see any right now. You can always give us a call or send us an email. If you do think of questions, anything about the new building or anything I've covered in these little mini sessions about library services and website, and we'd be happy to answer them. So at this point, we've coming to the end of our morning session. So I would like to thank very much our speakers for participating in this event and for sharing information about their organizations. This has really made a great, this has been a great program for us, and we were glad to have you participate. We would also like to thank everyone who logged in this afternoon for attending these presentations. We hope that you found them interesting and helpful. So the Expo will continue this afternoon. We'll be back here at 2 o'clock. We'll have speakers from 4 more organizations, and I hope that you will join us for that. So let me see. Yes, and we did have a question. If these sessions were being recorded, they are being recorded, and they will be put up on our website, not immediately, but we will get them up in the next week or so, as soon as we can. So, and there was a question about our contact information. That was in the chat. Look in the chat for that information. There's also a link to the schedule in the chat, so all of the organizations from this afternoon will be listed there. This afternoon, we will have Missouri Branch Sons and Daughters of the Pilgrims, Daughters of Union Veterans of the Civil War, Wildwood, oh, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong schedule. Forgive me. Strike that. This afternoon, we will have State Historical Society of Missouri, Center for French Colonial Studies, one-room schoolhouses, and the National Society of Colonial Daughters of the 17th Century. And that's what we have lined up for this afternoon. So come back at 2 o'clock and we'll go again. So thank you for joining us, and I think we will end at this point. Thank you.